Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm Sav.
And I'm Jess, and welcome to And a Diet Soda, episode 16, What Changed My Life.
Hey, welcome to your local fast food chain. Can I take your order?
Yeah, can I get a double cheeseburger, large fries, some tots, and I guess a diet soda?
Hi, it's Sav and Jess. Welcome to And a Diet Soda, an opportunity for people to celebrate their successes, share their failures, and hopefully give a little advice on all things relatable along the way.
This community is for appreciating the little things and fostering positive mindsets and intuitive thoughts by talking to people, because chances are they've been through it too.
Today's episode is very appropriately named as we dive into some really amazing and personal stories from our guest, Gabriella Sorrento, a former Walt Disney Imagineer who has gone through an incredibly unique experience surrounding her journey of weight loss and overall health.
We're so excited to talk to Gabriella today. As Sav said, your story is so unique, and I think a lot of people are going to benefit from hearing you tell it. So personally, I'm really excited to gain a little bit of education surrounding your experiences with understanding your body's hormones and how it relates to mental and physical health. So just to give you guys a quick background of Gabriella, she is insanely interesting. She graduated with an urban design and planning degree from the University of Cincinnati and got an MBA from Penn State. She then worked as a corporate career as a Walt Disney Imagineer for 8 years until 2019. And then Gabriella spent most of her life overweight and has always struggled with weight. She likes to say that she has done every diet under the sun, and similar to how a lot of us feel, she would regain the weight shortly after. So at the end of 2017, she decided to stop with the fad diets and do a comprehensive panel of her health to get down to the bottom of what was going on with her body. So it turns out she had a lot of inflammation, she had deficiencies, intolerances, and that was all keeping her body from losing the weight. So an example that Gabriella gave us was how she was always bloated every day, and then she started to think it was a normal thing and that it happens to everyone, and it turns out it is not normal at all.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it might seem pretty normal to a lot of us because we also experience the same thing. But for Gabriella, within the first several months after doing that comprehensive blood panel, metabolic panel, hormone panel, she lost so much weight and wasn't even working out or exercising. So she knew this was a story that she had to share. She had so many colleagues at Disney who would stop her every day in the hallway and ask what she was doing to lose her weight and maintain it. So she knew that she was doing something that was having an impact. She has since kept the weight off for almost 3 years now, and she really wants to spread the word to people to dig deeper into their health and to advocate for themselves. So that's so amazing. We're so honored that you chose to share your story with us on And a Diet Soda, Gabriella. We're so excited. We have so many questions that are really fascinating, and we're just going to get right into it.
Thank you. Thank you, girls. I'm so excited to be here and to share my story. I feel like it's a story a lot of people can resonate with, especially being a 20-something working full time, usually a business corporate type job, and just kind of getting burnt out and then having your health kind of get burnt out alongside with it. And that was kind of what triggered me into wanting to explore the outside norms of weight loss and losing weight. And it's bigger than just, counting calories and joining a fad diet. So
Yeah, that's fantastic. Can you talk a little bit about your past experiences with yo-yo dieting prior to losing weight? How you felt when you were, I'm imagine you're at Disney World, and you've kind of seen this diet culture affect the people in your life, and you mentioned a certain demographic in our earlier conversation. So let's talk about your relationship with that first.
So being an early 20 something, like fresh out of college, I was eating like crap. Especially when I had moved from Florida, I lived up north. I was just so excited to be, at Disney World working, and I just kind of fed my body whatever I, would eat, what was ever left over in like the kitchen after like work meetings. And I just had no regard to like health or anything like that whatsoever. And I was just slowly putting on the weight. And I kind of got sucked into like the idea of the yo-yos, like the almost, this sounds weird, but like bonding with people, like people at work that were like, you want to try this with me, or you want to do this? Like I was like, almost like, okay, sure. And like, let's do it. Like, it was almost like a bonding type of thing. It was something I could, check in with each other, like during lunch or something. And so it kind of went like in this, like, I don't know, especially with folks when, your own age in your 20s, it's something you can bond with each other about food or like, what did you eat today? What were your Weight Watchers points and stuff like that?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, I can totally relate to that. I feel like so many people can relate to that. It's something that's like when your job sucks and you have to be there 9 to 5, 40 hours a week, and you're like connecting with these people that you work with. You're like, yeah, it sounds fun. Like we can at least have somebody to do it with, which is super like fun and important to do if you're, trying to, whether it is lose weight or just take control of your health. So I love that you said that, but I don't love that you had to go through that.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, the job itself was amazing. It was just like a way to like bond with people though, like, talking about food, or it was just like a bonding thing, like doing these fad diets together.
Totally. Okay, so can you explain to us then, your health journey began, well, not your health journey, but when you started to really learn about your health and how to take control of it, it began when you got this comprehensive panel, correct? So we wanted to know what that is, if you could explain that to the listeners, and what information it's able to give you.
So I did it all. I did a blood work panel, and it consisted of blood work, saliva, and urine, depending on what it was. Like I did food allergies and intolerances, vitamin deficiencies, and then hormones, which hormones are so big for women. And I, at the time, I had no idea any of those played such a part in your body. And when you're inflamed, those cause your body to be inflamed. And when you're inflamed, you have a hard time losing weight, or you retain the weight. And no one's taught that in school. I wasn't taught that, at least. And, I had no idea like that food and, hormones could do that and have that effect over your body. I honestly thought I was just kind of destined to just be like more of an overweight person just my whole life. I just thought, I'm just one of those people. I can't eat, here or there just because it's my body. I just gain weight, or so and so they're skinny because they're just genetics because they can go out and eat fast food or whatever. But it's not so all of that.
Totally. Where, if somebody wanted to get something like this done, I mean, obviously you can get your blood work done at a doctor's office and whatnot, but where are like other options or places that they can get this done at?
So you can get this through a doctor. You definitely want to look for a natural doctor. You probably can get it through a nutritionist too. But the key is, honestly, you have to find someone that will walk you through and educate you. That like saying, like, you teach a man to fish. That's really what you want in a doctor. You don't want to be dependent on your doctor. You want to be able to take your health in your own hands and know what you're eating and what you're doing. Because if they're trying to get you on something and you're dependent on them, that kind of continues that culture of the yo-yo diets. You really, the most ideal is being able to understand your own health, what you can eat, your food allergies, whatever your imbalances, and being able to take that and, that knowledge and live it every day.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, we talk about patient advocacy all the time and being your own advocate, and that just going out and taking action like that. Education is a huge part of it, because you can fake it all you want, but until you actually know what you are talking about, that's what's going to give you the confidence to go out and get what you deserve.
Yes. And I mean, my background was business design. My background is not health, but I think so many people think because their background isn't health that they don't deserve to like be able to like what I'm talking to you guys right now. Like, I have every right to talk about my health and what worked for me. I mean, just as much as you have taken your own health in your hands, we all need to be empowered to do that every day, because we can't just depend on a doctor or calling up a nutritionist every day. We need to understand what's going on in ourselves. And just I'm so passionate about that.
Yes, absolutely.
We talk about that too a lot, just the extreme lack of the conversation around nutrition and just general health and medicine. And that's my biggest passion in life. And hopefully one day I'll be able to play a part in that and change that, because it's really hard to be a patient or just a person in a situation like that, where you just feel awful and you just lose hope, and there's not much. You go to the doctor and they're like, yep, you're the picture of health. Like, it is what it is. So I'm really happy to hear your story, that you're able to find some answers and share that with other people.
Yeah, it must have been so empowering too to be able to take control of your health and be your own advocate in that way. So I'm curious about your mental health kind of before, during this whole process, and after getting your whole blood work and the whole panel, and how that affected you.
So before I lost weight, I was always like I feel like confident person. I know that's not everyone's story of being an overweight person. Um, I I was, pretty confident. I didn't ever feel like I knew I was overweight, but I never felt like that huge pressure of like, I need to be skinny. And I think it's because I was just kind of like that. I was overweight like my whole life. So I just kind of like got used to it almost. Like it wasn't like something I thought was even achievable. So I never got hung up on it. Like I have to be skinny, or I have to get back to my high school weight, or I have to get, it was nothing like that. So anytime someone was like, oh, let's do this yo-yo diet, I saw it as like a social, like I said, social thing, as like bonding. So I was pretty confident before, and after I lost the weight, my confidence went higher. Actually, weirdly enough, I still, it's been over 3 years now, but I think the weirdest thing is you still think you're bigger than what you are. Like I still like gravitate towards wanting to buy clothes bigger, and that really hasn't changed. But yeah, my mental health it's pretty much stayed the same pretty much. I feel more empowered to really understand health and my health.
Body dysmorphia is a real thing.
It's great that you never felt pressured to do that, because I think there are some people, majority of people, that were those like tiny little people in high school, and then they gained weight and struggled to get back to it. And so I'm similar to you. I was always kind of that, like, Jess and I call ourselves mid-size, like our entire lives. Like it's just what it was. So it's important to be able to share the like wide variety of mental health factors that play a role, though, because some people might not experience it. And it's actually interesting because you're one of the first people that has like said that you were okay and stable before, which is great though, because it also shows that you don't have to be a size 0, like tiny little stick, to be healthy and feel good about yourself.
Yeah. And I think I really owed that to, like, I was always really driven in college, and, being an Imagineer, that was like always like my number one passion. It wasn't really my looks, just because, like I said, I was like I got used to it. I was like kind of overweight my whole life. So it wasn't like, that wasn't my like my focus. I put my focus somewhere else, because I knew that wasn't like growing in high school. I was like, I'm never going to be the skinny person. Like I'm going to put my focus over here on achieving some dreams or something.
Yeah. So I'm curious, because you do have like a little bit of an in, because your now husband is a doctor. And so he for sure would have connections and ways to get you into other doctors. But I would imagine that as a non-necessary procedure, which this basically is, to do a complete blood work just on a whim, I'd imagine that it might be a little bit hard to like convince your primary care doctor or someone, or whatever kind of medical office you have access to. What do you guys think about that? Do you think that that's like going to be kind of hard for people if they're interested, or that it wouldn't be?
It is kind of hard. Years before I met my husband, I thought I might have something wrong with my thyroid. They did some general testing, my doctor at the time, and that particular doctor, because I don't want to speak for all doctors, that particular doctor did not see anything wrong. They just kind of looked at the general, like what they were taught, and were just like, you're good enough. Like, maybe you're just gaining weight or going a calorie deficit. They didn't like do that deeper dive, and they wouldn't I asked to order additional tests, and that particular doctor would not do it. And I've had so many people message me actually on TikTok saying like, I want to get this from my doctor, but they won't order it for me. And it sounds like that is like a common thing. I'm not really sure why. That's why I do recommend that someone find a doctor that that they can screen before, like saying, hey, I really want to look into this. So that might be even looking at a more natural or Western or Eastern type doctor, I'm sorry, or even a nutritionist that can order those tests.
Yeah. And as far as my background with the medical field and whatnot, the reason I said earlier that you can go to the doctor and be the picture of health is because that's what I was always told. Is even like, I would explain, I had actually a really good doctor that was better than like 90% of doctors, and asked about my mental health, and they ran all of these blood tests on me, and I have really good insurance, but it turns out that they just coded them wrong. and I got a bill for $800. So I got it fixed because I'm like, I have like, what's the point of having insurance, you know? And I got it fixed and like didn't have to pay anything. But think about people who might not necessarily have that great of insurance or whatnot. So I like your tip to like find somebody who is, you know, maybe there are naturopaths, but whoever it is, just make sure that you know that they have an education in what they're preaching. And also, again, be your own advocate and consistently look for that. And even just ask if you really want it done.
Exactly. I would even shoot out emails before like confirming that they'll do that. That way you have time in the office or going in.
Totally.
Yeah, that's true. And there's hormone specialists out there, and it's hard too, because Sav and I are still like, all three of us are like, okay, but like make sure that they know what they're talking about. Like you can be, because the specialist is going to know more than the primary care. Like that's how it goes, that their whole life is dedicated to that. But at the same time, they're not a medical doctor, or they don't have the degree to back it up. But it's just like this give and take of like, they know best, but take it with a grain of salt, or get a second opinion. There's also nothing wrong with talking to multiple people about it, getting a second opinion, because the blood work. It's going to show facts. And if the interpretation is what you need, then talk to everyone.
Yeah. Also naturopath, we really need to talk to like a naturopathic doctor, because even naturopaths go to medical school for 4 years as well. It's just a holistic medical school and practice. So, I feel grateful that I think things are starting to take a general shift towards people accepting natural medicine more. So again, just take a look at their backgrounds and find it. So with that being said, we want to take a little shift to talk about how you received the like science-based information from your panel, and how you were able to translate it into, you know, vitamins, hormones, food allergies. So maybe you could just like give an example of something that you were deficient in and how you were able to learn about the science behind that and then change that or implement that into your life.
So each category as far as hormones, vitamins, and then food allergies. The food allergies was the simplest, just cutting those out. That was probably the simplest, like, cost-effective thing to do. The other two involved more a supplement route, and taking supplements. For instance, for hormones, I was low on progesterone, like extremely low, extremely high on estrogen, extremely. And then my cortisol was like all over the place, my testosterone. So supplementing those to balance those out. And that does take some time. And then vitamins, supplementing those with the correct vitamins. And that one was just a little tricky because I did a couple month checkup, like every 3 months, to see some of the vitamins I wasn't, my body wasn't absorbing. Like I would take a pill form and it wasn't absorbing. And then I had to play around with those. That's not the same for everybody though. It was just my body. I switched to like a liquid vitamin, if that makes sense. And then I was absorbing those better. So, and it was just doing that consistently for several months. And then it slowly, everything started course correct. And then the weight like slowly started to come off. Like I didn't even work out until I was about at month 7. I just wasn't ready for all those changes at once.
Sorry, I have a question about that actually. Because you did mention earlier how you didn't work out, and now you just said that you didn't work out for 7 months. So what does that look like now? How does exercise play a role into like maintaining your current health and weight?
Yeah. So now I work out 3 times a week. I never work out more than 3 times a week, honestly. And I just do Orange Theory, like 50-minute workout, 2 or 3 times a week. And that's about it that I do. I don't do anything other things special than that.
That's great. Yeah. Once you find the thing that works for you and your body is like in its homeostasis, it's like, this is what works for me. This is what I'm going to keep doing. So that's great.
That's awesome. We're an Orange Theory household. My roommate has been doing it for years now. And I did it for about a year and then just, slowly dropped out because of the money and the time commitment, but I loved it. It was great.
Yeah. It's not cheap. And I feel like you could do like what you were saying, Sev, you could do anything that you like. That like I just happen to like that. And it works. I think I could probably swap it out for any workout, just doing 3 times a week, and I think it'd be fine. something more cost effective if someone can't afford it. I mean, Orange Theory is expensive.
So all these changes in your diet, though, I feel like that's such a drastic, like not drastic in a bad way, but just like I find it really hard to make changes and make it a habit. Like I might get really motivated and do it for a couple of weeks, just like those yo-yo diets, but I ultimately resort back to like my old habits and whatever is easiest. So with this new information that you got and all the science to back it up, did you find that it was hard to change, easy to change, or how did that happen for you?
Oh my goodness. Okay. The first like 2 or 3 weeks were hard. I'm not gonna lie, but after that, it was so empowering and you kind of just start to thrive off of it because it's not as restrictive as it sounds. Because I pretty much keep like an 80-20. Like I eat pretty much at this point, 80% of the week I eat what I call like clean, like healthy, like intuitive. And then about 20%, which is maybe like 4 meals a week, I will do like cheat, whatever I want. Even if sometimes I'll even eat like my food allergy stuff, as long as I don't like, it's not like something consistent. I don't like do restrictions though, honestly. I mean, from just me explaining that, like I still kind of, yeah. So I kind of like call it the 80-20. I don't keep track though, honestly. I don't. So that's just kind of my guesstimate of how many times a week I don't want to say cheat because it's more of a lifestyle, like, but I sure cheat meals, like where I eat junk food or go out for like chicken nuggets, like yesterday, chicken nuggets and French fries or whatever.
Nice. I love to hear that. We love to hear that. That's amazing. That's something that we preach all the time. So it's hard to get into that mindset though sometimes. I mean, I don't know. From what it sounds like from what you said earlier, you were not too focused on losing weight. So I don't know if you had ever struggled with disordered eating or whatnot, but a lot of people that we speak to have. And so it's hard to get to a point where you can intuitively eat. So what was that path like for you, if it was a struggle at all?
So the path intuitive eating, it did take a couple months of just kind of sticking to, staying away from those food allergies. And that was kind of hard. It was, but once, it's kind of like a restart on your body. Once you do it for a couple months, it restarts your body. Like I was eating fruit and I was like, oh, I can taste this fruit and I'm craving it and I love it. And then after like, let's say a year, like this was like 3 years ago now, but my body would start like craving that stuff. Like if I like ate out all weekend, or like, for instance, I was in Nashville 2 weeks ago and I ate out a ton. I ate like fried chicken. The second I got home, my body was just like so thirsty for like some vegetables or like particular vegetables, like a carrot or this or that. And I just kind of like can't like do that. Or the days where I'm like, I want to eat some chocolate. I just do, like, I literally just like, okay, my body wants this for some reason and I'm listening to it and I'll eat some chocolate and I'll have that and it's good and it's enough and I won't crave it again.
You're such a stable-minded person. I strive to be more like you.
That was such a compliment. Thank you.
It's like what we all strive to do is to be able to listen to our bodies and the things that we want without like overdoing it and still like nourishing ourselves. So it's not as hard as we make it out to be, but it's challenging because of all these societal norms and this diet culture. So it's just great to have these conversations about it for sure. So is this something that you think that you'll continue to like adjust throughout your life? I mean, I imagine that your hormones will change with age. They do. So there will definitely be some different answers from that within the panel. So what will that look like for you throughout time?
So honestly, actually, it is good timing because I actually just got retested like 2 days ago because that's really important too. Honestly, the maintenance, that's like the maintenance side. It's been, like I said, over 3 years, but doing that like maybe yearly or every 6 months, still getting tested. So for instance, for a really long time, I was good on a lot of vitamins, but right now I'm like a little deficient again on iron, which is something I had just always seems to be like my cross to bear in life, I guess. So now I'm supplementing back, like I'm back on taking the supplements that will help level that out. And you're not on them forever. Like once you get balanced out, you can go off of them. But for instance, right now, for whatever reason, my body's deficient in it right now. So I'm starting the supplements back to get that, straightened out.
How soon after do you feel a difference when you start supplementing?
Ooh, I think it probably a month. probably like 4 weeks for your body to really feel the change.
Okay, so you got to give it time.
Yes.
It's not like because to me, like this conversation, it sounds like, and it's just because you've had so many years of dealing with it and you look at it with like such admiration. You look at it with like hindsight and you're like, I did that. That's amazing. But we have to remember that it's not instant gratification. Like these things take time. These things take adjustment periods.
Yeah.
It takes time, but you'd be surprised just when you let your body not be inflamed, just like you let go so much weight.
So that's why it's really important to eat a wide range of different fruits and vegetables and proteins, whatever it is, to be able to hit these vitamins and everything that you need in your body, because it is unfortunately and very realistic that your body may start to deplete in something if you're not getting that in your food. So if you can start to incorporate as many different things as you can, and I like to say eat the rainbow. A lot of things do, like focus on eating all of the vitamins that you can. That'll also help to be able to balance it out. Because I know it's kind of hard to take a handful of pills, which might also be a bad thing. It's really important to focus on what you need and why these blood tests can be really helpful, because if you're taking a handful of pills, too much of a good thing can also be really bad. So you want to focus on what you need.
Oh yes, 1,000%. Agree with that. You need to be getting this from food primarily. There's not going to be a pill that's going to fix it. The supplements really are just to help those deficiencies, but food is number one. Like food, that's where you should be getting any of the deficiencies that's where the course correction should start, is with food. And then supplements just kind of are like a sidebar that like help correct some of those really deep deficiencies.
Yeah. Was that a really big learning curve, learning like which foods are which micronutrients? And I feel like I would need a giant cheat sheet in my kitchen.
I actually had a cheat sheet. That's so funny. I did actually have a cheat sheet for like about a year that I kept in like my drawer next to the stove.
Nice.
That's amazing. If it helps, you know, like really it's important to do, again, educating and researching, because you might not know what's in quinoa. They're like, why is that good for you? What even is quinoa? What's a flaxseed? So it's important to be able to like learn about these things and start experimenting. It took me a long time to get to where I am with my diet now, probably like a solid year and a half, to be honest with you. Which is harder for me because I am plant-based. It's easier for people who do eat meat. But when you're like learning about all of these different things and you like pick up a plant at the store and you're like, what even is this? Like, what is this, a papaya? Like, I don't know what it is. So
I mean, I forget who, I feel bad that I don't remember who the conversation was with, but it was someone on here and we were just talking about how you can't just change your diet right off the bat. And if you're looking to incorporate things, I think it was really, we were talking with a vegan or vegetarian or someone plant-based, and they said, just start with one thing that you're going to replace. One meat that you'll replace with a plant-based something. And I think the example that she gave or he gave, I can't remember, was like burgers. Like if you like burgers, then try plant-based for one time. Like don't just go and change your diet because it's not going to work. That you need to like practice, because it is really a practice thing. It's like the last thing I want to do when I come home for work is like think about what I'm going to eat. Like I just want it to be easy. And I feel like that's the biggest way to slip up is like long day, don't want to think about it. I'll just have the microwave dinner instead of making my sweet potato or whatever.
And but that is okay to like, maybe every now and then to have that. And that's kind of what I try to incorporate. Like, it's like, I don't need to like shame myself if I do want to throw in like a Trader Joe's thing in the meal. It's just getting really in tune that cannot be like an everyday type of thing.
Yeah.
But that is a really great way you explain that, Jess. Actually, that I agree with you like wholeheartedly on that.
I love your mentality. It's so great. So what would you say to someone who is looking to jump on this bandwagon, to learn more about it? Like what would be your biggest piece of advice for them?
The biggest piece of advice would be really I honestly would recommend someone breaking down their blood work. It's basically your own like body's Bible. And it's hard to understand what your inner workings are unless you have that. Of course, like your recommendation of, starting small, like I said, wholeheartedly agree with that. Making small changes, that's exactly what I did. I made it small because I was just not able to handle big changes. Like I came from a very primitive, basic thought of how nutrition was. Like I thought like it was very basic, like Weight Watchers, like, oh, if I can eat whatever I want as long as I meet these points. But it's like, if you're eating cake pops every day, that's not, there was a time where I was like, as long as I'm, meeting the quota of my Weight Watchers, I can eat 20 cake pops. Like, so, I mean, getting that education, I mean, that's just to be truthful, like that, I literally thought that was fine. Like, as long as I didn't surpass that number, I could eat whatever many cake pops.
Yeah. That's not a bad thing that you thought that, because so many people think that. Like, why would you, if you don't have the education on it, why would you think anything different? Like, you can't be faulted for that. Like, why would you look at a cake pop? Like, maybe you would think, oh, there's probably a lot of sugar in this, but who breaks it down in their mind being like, there's probably not a lot of protein, carbs, sugar, whatever it is. Like, the normal person does not do that. So why would you?
Yeah, and these companies make money off of you. Like that's just what it is. They make money off of you buying their foods and their products. And why would they teach you how to do it by yourself when they can make money off of you? If you're listening to this and you've done that, you're not stupid and you're not incapable. I mean, we've all been there. That's the whole point of this podcast. And so it's not just you. We've all had some type of experience like that where we've been a little brainwashed, but you're totally capable and have it within you to take control of your health and figure out what works for you.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, there's tons of stuff that I learn new stuff about it every day. Like half the time I'm like, I really thought this was healthy. Like I really thought I was doing good. And it's just like, no.
That's not to say you can't do Weight Watchers in a healthy way, because I definitely don't want to bash. I don't want to bash anything that's going to help motivate somebody, but really, like I said this earlier, the key really is finding it, when you're looking at all these programs and you're feeling overwhelmed, if the program's not empowering you to be educated yourself, and they're like almost wrapping you into a consistency where you're pushing money towards them, they probably don't have your best interest at hand if they're making you dependent on them forever. So that's kind of like my rule of thumb when people are like trying to like see like what programs would work or this or that, or what food programs. It's a program that's educating you to be dependent or independent without them.
Yeah. And it's a good way to start too. If you have something that you're starting, that's a program, if it gets you motivated, if there's a team of people behind you and you can learn something from it, 100%. It is a good way to get motivated, and some programs like that are what got me started. So it's just about continuously learning and keeping an open mind about different information that comes your way too. So
right. Yeah. And I also want to like reiterate the fact that you guys are talking about like eat the rainbow, like Skittles diet. That sounds great to me. But I remember a couple years ago, I did one of those like fitness challenges or whatever. It lasted maybe, I don't know, 6 weeks or something. And it came with the workout plan and the nutrition and everything. And the nutrition was 100% like what a person would need to sustain or cut or whatever, but it was the most bland, like disgusting. Like, I don't know if anyone's ever tried a rice cake with vegan cheese on it, but I do not recommend. Like it was so gross. And that was literally on the nutrition plan. And so just because it gets you there and just because it provides quote unquote the nutrients that you need does not mean that you have to be having this bland plan. Like that is not the only way.
No, I totally agree. It's got to be a lifelong thing. That's one thing I never have understood with keto. I don't think the concept of keto is like a bad idea necessarily if you do it from like a healthy way and you're not just eating like bacon and cheese, I guess. But I feel like it's just not. Like I love fruit. Like I could never imagine giving up fruit. And I don't associate like 20 grams of sugar in like a piece of fruit the same as like in eating like a cake pop. Like I much rather eat like 100 grams of sugar and apples, berries, or whatever than like the equivalent of anything in like something processed.
Yeah, we've talked about keto before a little bit, and it's another restrictive thing, and it works. Of course, I did it. Guess what? Like I've done all of the yo-yo dieting, but the problem with the word diet, I think, is that it teaches you a short-term option to lose weight and feel good about yourself rather than to aim to change your lifestyle, to change how you're going to feel long term, to increase your longevity of life, to feel better. And I remember learning a statistic in my master's program about people who started to diet just for weight loss, and 100% of the people gained the weight back within a year, versus people who were able to change for a lifestyle. People still gained weight back, but it was not the full weight, and it was significantly less. I think at like 30%. So it really makes an impact if you have to want to do it to feel better, which I think your story really highlights really well, because you weren't too concerned with how you were looking, but you knew that you didn't want to feel that inflammation anymore, didn't want to feel fatigued and cloudy. So I think that's amazing.
Yeah. And the beginning, like I said, is, a little bit harder because you got to get through all of that crap to get rid of the brain fog and all of that. But once that clears up, you can see so clear, and it feels so empowering to know like what your body can tolerate, what it can't. And that's when that intuitive eating kicks in. So
that brain fog is real. Oh my gosh, it's real.
No, it is. Yeah, I can tell you, after working a corporate job, it is so real. It is so real. You'll sit there and you're like hungry. You have to eat candy. You have to, until that like need is met, like, and you're eating empty calories too when you're eating all that stuff.
Yeah, and you just don't feel like a human. You're just like a robot, and you're like going to your next meal. And the crazy part is when you're like working a desk job, your brain still has to work. So you're burning calories, and your brain needs a lot of calories. So you need to eat, but your body is not doing anything. It's like the weirdest version of being tired that I've ever experienced. Because like I'm not like tired physically, but I'm just like so tired. It's so strange.
And if there's anyone listening like that right now, I really recommend like course correcting it now, because it honestly just gets worse.
If you don't have access or maybe the money right now to, take these blood tests or get that extra help, a really good option is to try to switch out some of those foods, try to incorporate a little bit more of that eating the rainbow. I mean, until you're able to get to a place where you can have access, or you may be able to have a little bit more money to get there, or maybe find the right doctor or physician or provider. It's a really great way to start just changing a little bit about how your body is functioning physiologically and your brain too.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Totally fine that you cut me off, because we're right here. We're right here.
Awesome. Well, we have a couple last things. We have our weekly challenge announcement. So this weekly challenge is so fun and creative. And Gabriella, if you're okay with announcing it, since it was your idea, we'd love to have you share the challenge for the viewers.
So a weekly challenge would be swapping out maybe like a junk food, or if there's like a fast food you eat, and trying to make it at home. So if you love going to like Chick-fil-A, try making those same little nuggets and French fries at home, and you still get that, fix of that craving, but, and maybe even use like the Chick-fil-A sauce. I don't know, but at least you're getting that healthier part of like the chicken or in the French fries at home. So
yes, I love that. That's such a unique challenge. It's so fun.
So creative. It's super attainable too. I mean, it's like you can make it fun too. If you have kids or something, get them involved, get them in the kitchen cooking with you. So we love that. Okay, so before we let you go, we have a this or that speed round. So Jess and I are just going to bounce back and forth and toss you a couple of questions, and you can just answer first thing that comes to mind. If you have something you want to say, you can totally expand on it, but Jess is going to start for us.
Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Traveling or staycation?
Traveling.
Work from home or cafe?
Work from home.
She's got it. She's like, I know. Shopping in store or online?
Online.
Me too. Summer or winter?
Summer.
I think we already know this one, but Instagram or TikTok?
TikTok.
Lake or beach?
Ooh. I live in Florida. I feel like I should say I love lakes. I'm gonna say beach just because it's easier to get to.
Going out or staying in?
I'm such an extroverted introvert. I'm gonna say going out though.
Smoothies or milkshakes?
Smoothies.
Nice. Wow, you were so good. You were on that. That was amazing. Well, Gabriella, thank you so much for joining us today. We are so happy to learn from you and talk to you about your journey. I was so excited to learn about this because I'm such a hormones fanatic. I love it. But we really just hope that hearing your experience will help someone out there struggling with maybe the same thing, and give them hope and another option, and give them the power to be their own advocate.
Oh, I love talking to you all and hearing your experiences and your just everything you have learned throughout your guys' journeys. And it's comforting to know that, there's a community and people out there with similar struggles. So thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Yeah, that's the best part about this whole thing that we're doing. It's definitely a labor of love, but the community, every person that I talk to is like, yes, there are people who get it. Like, that is the best part, is to know that you're not alone. So we appreciate that. So you can find Gabriella on TikTok or on Instagram at Gabriella Sorrento. It's GABRIELLA SORRENTO, and that's also going to be in the show notes. Check her out on TikTok. That's her main platform, so you'll learn a lot from her there as well. She has some amazing recipes and some really good conversations around her health experience. To become a part of our family and community, join us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, all the things, all the places at Anna Diet Soda. Thanks again, Gabriella, and we will see you all next week. Thanks for listening. We hope you were able to give yourself a little love today. You deserve it.
Be sure to subscribe to this podcast and check us out on social media for weekly conversations and attainable challenges for your health.